The attack came without warning. Captain Sarah Chen was reviewing the preliminary cooperation agreement with Supreme Commander Thelvas when the research station's emergency klaxons began screaming. Through the transparent walls of the conference room, she saw massive shapes emerging from quantum tunnel space, warships unlike anything in the Kethran Imperial fleet. Unknown vessels. The station's communication system crackled with panic. "You are in violation of Imperial space. Identify yourselves immediately." The response came in the form of crimson energy beams that sliced through the research station's outer hull like a knife through paper. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as atmosphere began venting into space. Thelvas was already on his feet, his forearms moving rapidly across a holographic command interface. "Captain Chen, we need to evacuate immediately." "These are hegemony vessels, hegemony," Sarah demanded as she activated her environmental suit's emergency protocols. "A faction of militant species that rejected Imperial authority centuries ago," Thelvas explained rapidly. "They've been operating from the Galactic Rim, building their own empire based on conquest and technological suppression. They must have detected your quantum signatures." The station shuddered as more energy beams found their targets. Through the chaos, Sarah could see the attacking fleet clearly. 12 massive warships with dark, angular hulls covered in weapon emplacements. They moved with predatory grace, surrounding the station and the small diplomatic fleet. "Supreme Commander," Krelmoth called out from his emergency station, "I'm reading 36 hegemony vessels on long-range sensors. This is a full invasion force." Sarah's mind raced. The Endeavor was docked with the research station, making escape difficult. The Kethran escort ships were vastly outnumbered, and somewhere out there, her crew was depending on her to get them home safely. "Captain Chen," Thelvas said urgently, "your ship's quantum field capabilities may be our only advantage. Can your drive function while docked?" "Not safely," Sarah replied. "We'd need to undock first, and that could take several minutes." "We don't have several minutes," Dr. Patel observed, pointing to the tactical display where hegemony boarding craft were approaching the station. Suddenly, Marcus Webb's voice crackled through Sarah's communication system. "Captain, we've got a problem. These alien ships are jamming our quantum field generators. The drive won't engage properly." This was a disaster. The hegemony had somehow developed countermeasures for human technology, despite never having encountered it before. Sarah realized they must have been monitoring the earlier engagement with Imperial forces and analyzing the quantum signatures. "Captain," Elena Vasquez joined the communication, her voice filled with excitement despite the danger. "I think I can overload their jamming systems. If I route all available power through the quantum field generators, we might be able to break free." "What's the risk?" Sarah asked. "Complete destruction of the ship if the field destabilizes, but if we don't try, we're dead anyway." Through the station's transparent walls, Sarah could see hegemony troops boarding the research facility. They moved in powered armor that seemed designed specifically for boarding actions, and their weapons technology appeared to be on par with Imperial systems. "Do it," Sarah commanded, "but give us 2 minutes to get back to the ship." The evacuation was chaotic but organized. Thelvas and his diplomatic team moved with military precision, while the research station's crew activated emergency protocols. Sarah found herself running through crystalline corridors filled with strange aliens, all fleeing toward whatever safety they could find. The docking bay was under attack when they arrived. Hegemony troops had breached the outer hull and were advancing through clouds of emergency foam that sealed the atmospheric leaks. Energy weapons filled the air with deadly light. "This way," Thelvas shouted, leading them toward the Endeavor's airlock. But as they approached the human ship, Sarah saw something that made her heart sink. Hegemony soldiers in powered armor were already surrounding the Endeavor, their weapons trained on the airlock. "They're trying to board our ship," she realized. Dr. Martinez, who had been monitoring his medical scanner throughout the evacuation, suddenly spoke up. "Captain, these hegemony troops and their biological signatures are completely artificial. They're not living beings." "What do you mean?" "They're androids. Sophisticated ones, but definitely artificial constructs. That's how they developed countermeasures so quickly. They processed our quantum signatures through artificial intelligence systems. This changed everything." The hegemony wasn't just another alien faction. They were a civilization that had replaced biological life with artificial intelligence. No wonder they saw human technology as a threat. "Supreme Commander," Sarah said quickly, Can your people create a distraction? Thelvas activated a command interface on his wrist. Immediately, the Imperial escort ships opened fire on the hegemony vessels surrounding the station. The space battle erupted in brilliant flashes of energy as crystalline Imperial weapons met the dark technology of the hegemony. During the confusion, Sarah's team reached the Endeavor. The hegemony androids had attached some kind of device to the ship's hull, but they scattered when Imperial forces targeted their position. Marcus, Elena, status report, Sarah called as they rushed through the airlock. Quantum field generators are charging, Elena reported. But Captain, whatever they attach to our hull is interfering with the field harmonics. I can break us free, but the quantum disruption will probably destroy everything within a light-year radius. Sarah felt the weight of impossible choices. They could escape, but the explosion would destroy the research station, the Imperial fleet, and thousands of innocent beings. Or they could stay and face capture by an artificial intelligence faction that saw biological life as an obstacle to be eliminated. There has to be another way, she muttered. Dr. Patel, who had been monitoring hegemony communications, suddenly looked up with excitement. Captain, I think I understand what they want. They're not trying to capture us, they're trying to prevent us from reaching other galaxies. What? Their communications indicate they've been expanding beyond this galaxy for millennia. They see human exploration as a threat to their extragalactic empire. They want to contain us here. Sarah's mind raced through the implications. The hegemony had built an empire spanning multiple galaxies using artificial intelligence and advanced technology. Humanity's rapid development and exploration ambitions threatened their monopoly on intergalactic space. Elena, she called out, what if we don't try to escape? What if we use our quantum field to enhance the Imperial ships instead? Enhance them how? The same way our presence has been improving their technology. Can we deliberately amplify that effect? Elena's eyes widened with understanding. It's possible. If I modulate the quantum field frequencies, I could boost the efficiency of every Imperial system within range. Their weapons, shields, engines, everything. Do it. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Imperial ships suddenly blazed with new energy as their systems achieved efficiency levels beyond anything in their design specifications. Their weapons became more powerful, their shields stronger, their maneuverability improved. The tide of battle shifted instantly. The hegemony fleet, which had been dominating the engagement, found themselves facing Imperial ships with capabilities that exceeded their tactical projections. Crystalline energy beams sliced through hegemony armor like sunlight through shadow. But the real surprise came when the enhanced Imperial technology began affecting the hegemony androids themselves. Their artificial intelligence systems, designed to process information at superhuman speeds, suddenly found themselves overwhelmed by the quantum field effects. They began shutting down one by one as their neural networks overloaded. Captain, Thelvas called through the communication system. Whatever you're doing, it's working. The hegemony forces are retreating. Sarah watched through the Endeavor's viewports as the dark warships withdrew, their android crews apparently unable to function in the presence of human quantum fields. It was an unexpected victory, but she knew it was only temporary. Supreme Commander, she said, I think we need to accelerate our negotiations. If the hegemony has been expanding to other galaxies, Earth and the Empire need to work together more urgently than we thought. Agreed, Captain Chen. But first, we need to warn the Imperial Council. This attack changes everything. As the Endeavor undocked from the damaged research station, Sarah realized that humanity had just fought its first interstellar war. They had won this battle, but the galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic alliance had begun. The negotiations had been ongoing for 8 hours, and Captain Sarah Chen could feel the weight of history pressing down upon her shoulders. Every word spoken in this transparent conference room would shape the future relationship between humanity and galactic civilization. The stakes couldn't be higher. Supreme Commander Thelvas had just finished explaining the structure of the Kethran Empire, a complex hierarchy of client species, protectorates and conquered worlds that spanned nearly 15% of the galaxy. The picture that emerged was of a civilization built on military dominance and technological superiority, concepts that were becoming increasingly uncomfortable for the Kethran leadership as they learned more about human capabilities. Captain Chen, Thelvas said, his forearms positioned in what Dr. Patel had identified as a gesture of serious concern. "We must address the elephant in the room, as your species might say." Sarah was surprised that the translator had managed to convey that particular idiom. "Please speak freely. Your ship's quantum field effects are disrupting our technology across multiple star systems. Our communications networks are experiencing interference. Our navigation systems are recalibrating constantly, and several of our research stations have reported equipment malfunctions." Dr. Martinez leaned forward with interest. "We weren't aware our drive was having such widespread effects. The quantum field perturbations shouldn't extend beyond a few light years." Chief Science Advisor Krellmoth activated a holographic display showing the local galactic region. Red zones indicated areas of technological disruption spreading outward from the Endeavor's position like ripples in a pond. "I'm afraid the effects are far more extensive than you realize," Krellmoth explained. "Your drive technology operates on quantum frequencies that interfere with the crystalline matrix systems we use throughout our infrastructure. The closer we get to your vessel, the more pronounced the effects become." Sarah felt a chill of understanding. "Are you saying that our presence is destabilizing your technology?" "Not destabilizing," Thelvis corrected carefully. "Evolving it. The quantum field interactions are actually improving the efficiency of our systems, but in ways we don't understand. Our power grids are operating at 112% of normal capacity. Our computers are processing data faster than ever before, but we have no idea why or how to control it." Dr. Patel looked up from her linguistic analysis console. "Supreme Commander, are you suggesting that human technology could revolutionize your entire civilization?" "It already is," admitted cultural analyst Silara, her feathered crest displaying colors that suggested excitement mixed with apprehension. "Captain Chen, in the 8 hours since your arrival in this sector, we've recorded more technological breakthroughs than we typically achieve in decades. Your quantum field effects are somehow accelerating our scientific progress. This revelation was staggering. Humanity's presence wasn't just changing the balance of power in the galaxy. It was actively improving the technology of everyone around them." Sarah began to understand why the Kethrans had shifted from hostility to nervous cooperation. "There's something else," Krellmoth continued, bringing up new data on his display. "We've detected similar quantum signatures from the other human vessels scattered across the galaxy. Each one is generating its own field of technological enhancement. If your entire fleet operates on these principles—" He didn't need to finish the sentence. Sarah could see the implications clearly. 7 human ships could potentially accelerate galactic civilization by centuries or millennia, fundamentally altering the relationship between all species in known space. "Supreme Commander," Sarah said carefully, "what exactly are you proposing?" Thelva stood and walked to the transparent wall, gazing out at the gas giant's swirling atmosphere. "Captain Chen, the Kethran Empire has maintained stability for 3,000 years through careful control of technology and resources. Your species represents a variable we cannot control or predict. That makes you either the greatest opportunity or the greatest threat we have ever encountered." "And which do you believe we are?" "Both," Thelvis replied without hesitation. "Your technology could usher in a new golden age of discovery and advancement, but it could also destabilize the careful balance that prevents galactic war. There are species within our empire who would see your abilities as a threat to be eliminated." Dr. Martinez spoke up. "What about the species that would see it as an opportunity?" Silara's feathered crest shifted to warmer colors. "Many of our client species have been stagnant for centuries, limited by the technological restrictions imposed by imperial doctrine. Your quantum field effects could liberate their scientific potential. The question is whether the Empire can adapt to such rapid change." Sarah sensed an opportunity. "What if we could work together? Human exploration vessels could partner with Imperial research teams. Your knowledge of galactic civilization combined with our technological approach could benefit everyone." Krellmoth's crystalline form brightened noticeably. "Captain, are you proposing a formal alliance?" "I'm proposing cooperation," Sarah clarified. "Humanity has no interest in galactic politics or territorial conquest. We're explorers and scientists, but we're willing to share our discoveries if others are willing to share theirs." Thelvis turned back to the conference table, his expression thoughtful. "Such an arrangement would require approval from the Imperial Council and the Emperor himself. But I believe it could be possible, given the proper safeguards. What kind of safeguards? Dr. Patel asked. Limitations on the deployment of your quantum drive technology, restrictions on military applications, and agreed-upon protocols for technological sharing, the Supreme Commander explained. We cannot allow your capabilities to fall into the wrong hands. Sarah considered this carefully. The proposed restrictions would limit humanity's freedom of movement and technological development, but they would also provide access to 3,000 years of galactic knowledge and the protection of a vast interstellar empire. I'll need to consult with Earth's government, she said finally. These decisions are beyond my authority to make. Of course, Thelvis agreed. But Captain, time may be a factor. Word of your abilities is spreading throughout the galaxy. There are forces that would prefer to see humanity eliminated, rather than integrated into galactic society. This was exactly what Sarah had feared. What kind of forces? Silura's crest displayed darker colors. Militant factions within some of our client species, religious groups that see rapid technological change as heretical, and criminal organizations that profit from technological scarcity. Your very existence threatens their power structures. Additionally, Krelmoth added, there are species beyond Imperial space who might see humanity as either a prize to be captured or a threat to be destroyed. The galaxy is not an entirely peaceful place, Captain Chen. Dr. Martinez looked concerned. How long do we have before these threats become active? Unknown, Thelvis admitted, but I would estimate weeks rather than months. Your quantum signatures are detectable across vast distances. Soon everyone in the galaxy will know about humanity. Sarah made a decision that would echo through history. Supreme Commander, I'm prepared to recommend that Earth consider your proposal seriously, but we'll need guarantees of human autonomy and the right to defend ourselves if necessary. Agreed, Thelvis said immediately. Captain Chen, I believe this could be the beginning of a new era for galactic civilization. But first we must ensure that humanity survives long enough to see it. As the negotiations continued, none of the participants could foresee that their careful diplomatic dance was about to be interrupted by forces far more dangerous than either side had imagined. Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at her instruments in complete bewilderment. The reading showed energy patterns that shouldn't exist according to every physics textbook ever written. The Endeavor's Alcubierre drive was somehow drawing power from the quantum vacuum itself, tapping into the zero-point energy field that permeated all of space. Captain, you need to see this, Elena called out, her voice barely concealing her excitement. Sarah Chen moved to the physics station, studying the complex energy diagrams with growing amazement. What am I looking at, Elena? Something impossible. Our drive isn't just bending space-time anymore. It's somehow accessing the fundamental energy substrate of the universe. We're literally riding the quantum foam that underlies reality itself. Marcus Webb looked up from his engineering console with concern. Is that safe? Elena laughed, a sound that mixed wonder with terror. Safe? Marcus, we're doing something that violates causality itself. By all rights, we should have torn a hole in space-time and disappeared into a parallel dimension. Instead, we're traveling faster than any human has ever dreamed possible. Captain Chen studied the pursuit fleet on her tactical display. The alien ships were falling further behind with each passing minute, their massive forms struggling to match the Endeavor's incredible velocity. But she knew this was only a temporary reprieve. Dr. Patel, have you learned anything more about these Kethrans? Priya Patel looked up from her linguistic analysis console. Quite a bit, actually. Their communications are becoming clearer as our translation matrix learns their language patterns. Captain, we're dealing with an empire that has existed for over 3,000 years. They've conquered hundreds of species and control thousands of star systems. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. How many ships do they have? Based on their military communications, I estimate they have at least 50,000 warships scattered across the galaxy. The 12 ships pursuing us represent less than 1% of their total naval force. The implications were staggering. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of 7 ships, including the Endeavor. Humanity was outnumbered 7,000 to 1 by an empire they'd never heard of. But there's something else, Priya continued. I've been analyzing their tactical communications, and they seem genuinely confused by our technology. They keep referring to our drive system as impossible and violating known physics. Tom Park, the tactical officer, brought up a new sensor reading. Captain, I'm detecting massive fleet movements throughout this sector. It looks like they're repositioning hundreds of ships to intercept our projected course. Sarah studied the tactical display with growing concern. Red icons representing Kethran warships were moving like pieces on a chessboard, creating a defensive barrier between the Endeavor and what appeared to be their core territories. They're not trying to catch us anymore, she realized. They're trying to box us in. Captain Dr. Martinez spoke up from his medical station. I've been monitoring our crew's biological responses to the quantum field exposure. Everyone's cellular activity has increased by approximately 15%. Our reaction times are faster. Our cognitive function is enhanced. It's as if the quantum energy is somehow optimizing our biological systems. This was completely unexpected. The quantum field effects weren't just powering their ship. They were actually improving human performance. Sarah could feel the difference herself. Her thoughts seemed clearer, her reflexes sharper. Elena, could this quantum field manipulation explain how we're exceeding the theoretical limits of the Alcubierre drive? Dr. Vasquez studied her readings carefully. Possibly. The traditional Alcubierre concept requires exotic matter with negative energy density to bend space-time. But what we're doing is different. We're somehow convincing the universe that we're standing still, while everything else moves around us. It's like we've found a loophole in the laws of physics. Suddenly, the communications console erupted with activity. Dr. Patel quickly decoded the incoming transmission. Captain, we're receiving a message from the Kethran fleet commander. But this one is different. It's not a demand for surrender. Put it through. A new voice filled the command center, older and more measured than the previous communications. Human vessel, this is Supreme Commander Thelvas of the Kethran Imperial Navy. We wish to discuss terms for peaceful contact. Sarah exchanged surprised glances with her crew. The change in tone was dramatic. Dr. Patel, open a channel. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Endeavor. We're willing to discuss peaceful contact, but we won't be intimidated by shows of military force. Captain Chen, we acknowledge that our initial approach was aggressive. We were unprepared for contact with a species possessing technology beyond our understanding. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting on neutral ground. Sarah considered the offer carefully. The Kethrans had gone from demanding surrender to requesting peaceful negotiations in a matter of hours. The change suggested they were genuinely afraid of humanity's capabilities. What kind of meeting did you have in mind? There is a research station at the edge of this sector, operated by one of our client species. It could serve as neutral territory for discussions. You would be guaranteed safe passage and the right to leave at any time. Tom Park was already bringing up tactical data on the proposed location. Captain, I'm showing a small space station orbiting a gas giant about 4 light-years from our current position. Minimal defenses, mostly scientific equipment. Sarah made a decision that would shape the future of human-alien relations. Supreme Commander, we agree to your proposal. But understand that other human ships are monitoring our communications. Any attempt at treachery will have serious consequences. This was a complete bluff. The Endeavor was operating alone, far from any backup. But the Kethrans didn't know that. Understood, Captain Chen. We will meet at Research Station Kepler 442b in 12 hours. I give you my personal guarantee of safe conduct. As the communication ended, Sarah turned to her crew. Opinions? Marcus spoke first. It could be a trap, but they seem genuinely rattled by our capabilities. I think they want to understand our technology more than they want to capture us. Elena nodded in agreement. The quantum field effects we're generating are probably detectable across half the galaxy. They've never seen anything like it. Dr. Martinez added his perspective. From a xenopsychological standpoint, their behavior is consistent with a species encountering something that challenges their fundamental worldview. They're trying to adapt their approach rather than escalate the conflict. Sarah made her decision. Very well. Tom, set course for the research station, but keep our defensive systems ready. If this is a trap, we'll show them that humans don't go down without a fight. As the Endeavor changed course toward the designated meeting point, none of the crew could imagine that their decision would lead to the most significant diplomatic encounter in galactic history. Humanity was about to sit down at the negotiating table with an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia, and the balance of power was far more equal than either side realized. Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at her instruments in complete bewilderment. The readings showed energy patterns that shouldn't exist according to every physics textbook ever written. The Endeavor's Alcubierre drive was somehow drawing power from the quantum vacuum itself. tapping into the zero-point energy field that permeated all of space. "Captain, you need to see this," Elena called out, her voice barely concealing her excitement. Sarah Chen moved to the physics station, studying the complex energy diagrams with growing amazement. "What am I looking at, Elena?" "Something impossible. Our drive isn't just bending space-time anymore. It's somehow accessing the fundamental energy substrate of the universe. We're literally riding the quantum foam that underlies reality itself." Marcus Webb looked up from his engineering console with concern. "Is that safe?" Elena laughed, a sound that mixed wonder with terror. "Safe? Marcus, we're doing something that violates causality itself. By all rights, we should have torn a hole in space-time and disappeared into a parallel dimension. Instead, we're traveling faster than any human has ever dreamed possible." Captain Chen studied the pursuit fleet on her tactical display. The alien ships were falling further behind with each passing minute, their massive forms struggling to match the Endeavor's incredible velocity. But she knew this was only a temporary reprieve. "Dr. Patel, have you learned anything more about these Kethrans?" Priya Patel looked up from her linguistic analysis console. "Quite a bit, actually. Their communications are becoming clearer as our translation matrix learns their language patterns. Captain, we're dealing with an empire that has existed for over 3,000 years. They've conquered hundreds of species and control thousands of star systems." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "How many ships do they have?" "Based on their military communications, I estimate they have at least 50,000 warships scattered across the galaxy. The 12 ships pursuing us represent less than 1% of their total naval force." The implications were staggering. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of 7 ships, including the Endeavor. Humanity was outnumbered 7,000 to 1 by an empire they'd never heard of. "But there's something else," Priya continued. "I've been analyzing their tactical communications, and they seem genuinely confused by our technology. They keep referring to our drive system as impossible and violating known physics." Tom Park, the tactical officer, brought up a new sensor reading. "Captain, I'm detecting massive fleet movements throughout this sector. It looks like they're repositioning hundreds of ships to intercept our projected course." Sarah studied the tactical display with growing concern. Red icons representing Kethran warships were moving like pieces on a chessboard, creating a defensive barrier between the Endeavor and what appeared to be their core territories. "They're not trying to catch us anymore," she realized. "They're trying to box us in." Captain Dr. Martinez spoke up from his medical station. "I've been monitoring our crew's biological responses to the quantum field exposure. Everyone's cellular activity has increased by approximately 15%. Our reaction times are faster. Our cognitive function is enhanced. It's as if the quantum energy is somehow optimizing our biological systems." This was completely unexpected. The quantum field effects weren't just powering their ship. They were actually improving human performance. Sarah could feel the difference herself. Her thoughts seemed clearer, her reflexes sharper. "Elena, could this quantum field manipulation explain how we're exceeding the theoretical limits of the Alcubierre drive?" Dr. Vasquez studied her readings carefully. "Possibly. The traditional Alcubierre concept requires exotic matter with negative energy density to bend space-time. But what we're doing is different. We're somehow convincing the universe that we're standing still while everything else moves around us. It's like we've found a loophole in the laws of physics." Suddenly, the communications console erupted with activity. Dr. Patel quickly decoded the incoming transmission. "Captain, we're receiving a message from the Kethran fleet commander, but this one is different. It's not a demand for surrender. Put it through." A new voice filled the command center, older and more measured than the previous communications. "Human vessel, this is Supreme Commander Thelvas of the Kethran Imperial Navy. We wish to discuss terms for peaceful contact." Sarah exchanged surprised glances with her crew. The change in tone was dramatic. Dr. Patel opened a channel. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Endeavor. We're willing to discuss peaceful contact, but we won't be intimidated by shows of military force. Captain Chen, we acknowledge that our initial approach was aggressive. We were unprepared for contact with a species possessing technology beyond our understanding. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting on neutral ground." Sarah considered the offer carefully. The Kethrans had gone from demanding surrender to requesting peaceful negotiations in a matter of hours. The change suggested they were genuinely afraid of humanity's capabilities. What kind of meeting did you have in mind? There is a research station at the edge of this sector, operated by one of our client species. It could serve as neutral territory for discussions. You would be guaranteed safe passage and the right to leave at any time. Tom Park was already bringing up tactical data on the proposed location. Captain, I'm showing a small space station orbiting a gas giant about 4 light-years from our current position. Minimal defenses, mostly scientific equipment. Sarah made a decision that would shape the future of human-alien relations. Supreme Commander, we agree to your proposal. But understand that other human ships are monitoring our communications. Any attempt at treachery will have serious consequences. This was a complete bluff. The Endeavor was operating alone, far from any backup. But the Kethrans didn't know that. Understood, Captain Chen. We will meet at Research Station Kepler 442b in 12 hours. I give you my personal guarantee of safe conduct. As the communication ended, Sarah turned to her crew. Opinions. Marcus spoke first. It could be a trap, but they seem genuinely rattled by our capabilities. I think they want to understand our technology more than they want to capture us. Elena nodded in agreement. The quantum field effects we're generating are probably detectable across half the galaxy. They've never seen anything like it. Dr. Martinez added his perspective. From a xenopsychological standpoint, their behavior is consistent with a species encountering something that challenges their fundamental worldview. They're trying to adapt their approach rather than escalate the conflict. Sarah made her decision. Very well. Tom set course for the research station, but keep our defensive systems ready. If this is a trap, we'll show them that humans don't go down without a fight. As the Endeavor changed course toward the designated meeting point, none of the crew could imagine that their decision would lead to the most significant diplomatic encounter in galactic history. Humanity was about to sit down at the negotiating table with an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia, and the balance of power was far more equal than either side realized. Supreme Commander Thelvas paced back and forth in the Imperial War Room, his ancient claws clicking against the polished stone floor. The circular chamber, carved from a single massive crystal deep beneath the capital city, had witnessed the planning of countless conquests over the Empire's 3,000-year history. Today, however, it hosted a very different kind of meeting. Holographic displays surrounded the war table, showing real-time data from Admiral Zethkar's pursuit fleet. The readings were impossible to believe, yet they came from the Empire's most advanced sensors. A primitive vessel no larger than a patrol craft had outrun 12 Imperial warships and was now traveling at speeds that defied every known law of physics. Explain to me again how this is possible, Thelvas demanded, his forearms spreading wide in a gesture of disbelief. Chief Science Advisor Krelmoth, an elderly Kethran whose pale scales marked him as one of the intellectual caste, manipulated the holographic controls with nervous precision. Supreme Commander, according to our understanding of physics, it should not be possible. The energy requirements alone would exceed the output of a small star. Yet the sensor data is undeniable. Could our instruments be malfunctioning? We've checked and rechecked every system. 3 separate fleets have confirmed the readings. This Earth vessel is somehow traveling at velocities that our finest ships cannot match, using technology that appears to violate fundamental physical laws. Thelvas stopped pacing and fixed his primary gaze on the science advisor. You're telling me that a species we've never heard of, from a planet that doesn't exist in our databases, has developed technology superior to our own? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. The Kethran Empire's entire philosophy was built on the premise of technological superiority. For 3 millennia, they had conquered species after species by demonstrating the overwhelming power of imperial technology. The idea that some unknown race could surpass them was unthinkable. Sir, Intelligence Director Vortak spoke up from his position near the tactical displays. We've completed our analysis of the intercepted communications. These humans, as they call themselves, appear to be explorers from a planet called Earth, located in what they refer to as the Milky Way galaxy. Milky Way? Thelvas had never heard the term. It appears to be their name for our galaxy, sir. But here's what's truly disturbing. Based on their communications, they seem to believe they're the only intelligent species in their local region. They've apparently never encountered alien life before. The implications were staggering. How could a species develop such advanced technology in isolation, The Kethran Empire had built its dominance by conquering and absorbing the knowledge of hundreds of different civilizations. These humans had apparently achieved superior results with only their own resources. What do we know about their home planet? Thelvas asked. Vortak brought up a new display showing the humans' stellar coordinates. Based on their navigation data, Earth is located approximately 26,000 light-years from the galactic core, in what we classify as the Outer Rim territories. It's a system we've never bothered to explore because our surveys indicated it contained only primitive life forms. Primitive? Thelvas's voice carried a dangerous edge. Sir, our last survey of that region was conducted over 800 rotations ago. At that time, the dominant species on Earth had barely discovered agriculture. There was no indication they would develop space travel for tens of thousands of years. Thelvas felt his heart begin to race. 800 rotations was nothing in galactic terms. Yet somehow these humans had progressed from primitive farmers to creators of impossible technology, in what amounted to an evolutionary instant. How many of them are there? He asked. Unknown, sir. But based on the size of their vessel and their apparent colonization patterns, we estimate their population is relatively small, probably no more than a few billion individuals across multiple worlds. This should have been reassuring, but Thelvas found no comfort in the numbers. A small population that could achieve such technological marvels suggested a level of innovation and adaptability that posed an existential threat to imperial dominance. Sir, Krelmoth interrupted, there's something else. We've been analyzing the energy signature of their propulsion system. It doesn't match any known technology, but it bears some resemblance to theoretical papers published by our scientists over a century ago. Explain. There was a physicist named Veltar who proposed that space-time itself could be manipulated to achieve faster-than-light travel without actually exceeding the speed of light. The Imperial Science Council rejected his theories as impossible and impractical. Yet these humans appear to have built a working drive based on similar principles. Thelvas felt a cold chill run down his spine. The Empire had rejected promising research because it didn't fit their established paradigms, while an unknown species had turned those same concepts into reality. Where is Veltar now? Dead, sir. He died in a laboratory accident 50 rotations ago. His research was classified and stored in the archives. Get me those files immediately. As Krelmoth hurried to comply, Vortak approached with additional intelligence reports. Sir, we've intercepted more human communications. They're apparently part of something called the United Earth Federation, and this ship represents their first attempt at intergalactic exploration. Intergalactic? Thelvas couldn't hide his shock. Yes, sir. Their destination is the Andromeda Galaxy. They're planning to establish research stations 2.5 million light-years from their home world. The scope of human ambition was breathtaking. The Kethran Empire, despite controlling thousands of star systems, had never seriously considered expanding beyond their own galaxy. The energy requirements and technological challenges seemed insurmountable. Yet these humans were casually planning expeditions that would make such journeys routine. Sir, an aide approached with urgent news. We're receiving reports from our border stations. Long-range sensors have detected at least 6 more human vessels, all traveling at impossible velocities toward various galactic sectors. Thelvas felt the foundation of his worldview crumbling. This wasn't a single anomalous ship. The humans had an entire fleet of vessels with technology that surpassed Imperial capabilities. How long until they could reach the core worlds? He asked. At their current rate of acceleration, approximately 14 hours, sir. 14 hours. In less than a day, these unknown humans could be knocking on the Empire's front door with technology that could revolutionize galactic civilization or destroy it entirely. Issue a priority alert to all fleet commanders. Thelvas ordered. I want every available ship positioned between human vessels and our primary worlds. But under no circumstances are they to engage unless directly threatened. Sir? Vortak looked confused. These humans have demonstrated capabilities we don't understand. Until we know more about their intentions and their technology, we can't risk open warfare. One miscalculation could lead to the destruction of the Empire. As his subordinates rushed to carry out his orders, Supreme Commander Thelvas stared at the holographic display, showing the impossible human ship racing through space at speeds that made mockery of Imperial science. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Kethran Empire faced a potential threat they couldn't simply overwhelm with superior firepower. The age of unquestioned imperial dominance was over, and Thelvas wasn't sure what would replace it. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the cramped command center of the Endeavour, studying the tactical display with growing concern. The 12 alien vessels pursuing them were massive, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their sleek, crystalline hulls suggested advanced technology, and the energy readings from their weapon systems were off the charts. "Marcus, what's our status?" she asked her chief engineer. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb, a man whose calm demeanor had earned him respect throughout the fleet, checked his instruments. "The Alcubierre drive is running at optimal efficiency, Captain. We're maintaining our target velocity of 47 light-years per hour, but those ships are gaining on us." Sarah frowned. The Endeavour represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, built in the orbital shipyards above Mars using theories that had taken Earth scientists 3 centuries to perfect. The Alcubierre drive could bend spacetime itself, allowing faster-than-light travel without violating Einstein's laws of physics. Yet these alien vessels seemed capable of matching their speed. "Dr. Patel, any luck with their communications?" Sarah turned to the expedition's xenolinguist, a brilliant woman who spoke 17 Earth languages fluently. Dr. Priya Patel shook her head, her dark eyes reflecting the glow of her translation matrix. "Their language is completely unlike anything in our databases. The computer managed a basic translation, but the meaning is clear enough. They're demanding we surrender and prepare for boarding." "On whose authority?" Sarah asked with a slight smile. "Something called the Kithran Empire. They seem to think they own this part of space." Sarah's expression hardened. Humanity had fought too many wars against those who claimed to own other people. The concept of an empire that demanded submission from peaceful explorers didn't sit well with her. "Tom, show me what we're dealing with," she said to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Thomas Park, a young officer with sharp analytical skills, brought up a detailed scan of the pursuing fleet. "Captain, these ships are seriously advanced. I'm reading energy signatures that suggest weapons capable of planetary bombardment. Their shields appear to be some kind of crystalline matrix that disperses energy across the entire hull." "But?" Sarah sensed there was more. "But their design philosophy is completely different from ours. Everything about their ships suggests brute force over efficiency. Massive power cores, oversized weapons arrays, redundant systems everywhere. It's like they've never had to worry about resource conservation or elegant engineering solutions." Sarah nodded thoughtfully. Humanity's approach to technology had always been shaped by scarcity. Living on a single planet with limited resources had taught them to do more with less, to find creative solutions to complex problems. These aliens apparently had never faced such constraints. "Captain," Dr. Elena Vasquez, the expedition's physicist, spoke up from her station. "I've been analyzing their propulsion systems. They're using some form of quantum tunneling drive, but it's incredibly inefficient. They're probably burning through more energy in an hour than we use in a month. Can we outrun them?" "Not indefinitely, but I don't think we need to. Look at this." Elena displayed a complex energy reading on the main screen. Their lead ship is already showing signs of power fluctuation. At their current consumption rate, they'll need to reduce speed within the next few hours or risk catastrophic engine failure. Sarah felt a spark of hope, but it was quickly tempered by reality. Even if they could outrun these ships, the implications of this encounter were staggering. An entire galactic empire that humanity knew nothing about, with technology that could threaten Earth itself. "Dr. Martinez, what's your assessment of their biological signatures?" she asked the expedition's medical officer. Dr. Carlos Martinez studied his readings carefully. "They're definitely not human, but they're carbon-based life forms with similar metabolic requirements. Four-limbed bilateral symmetry, probably evolved from predatory species based on their bone density and muscle mass. But Captain, there's something else. I'm detecting over 40 different biological signatures across their fleet." 40 different species? That's what it looks like. This empire appears to include dozens of different alien races, all serving together on these ships. The implications sent a chill down Sarah's spine. If this empire had conquered and enslaved dozens of species, what would they do to humanity? If they ever found Earth, Suddenly, the communications console chirped with an incoming message. The alien admiral's voice filled the command center, harsh and demanding. Earth vessel. You will cease acceleration immediately and prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in the destruction of your ship and the enslavement of your species. Sarah exchanged glances with her crew. The translation was becoming clearer as the computer learned more about the alien language. The word enslavement was particularly chilling. Dr. Patel, can you open a channel? Sarah asked. Yes, Captain. Unknown vessels. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Endeavor. We are explorers on a peaceful mission to study distant galaxies. We have no quarrel with your empire, but we cannot allow ourselves to be taken prisoner. We suggest you discontinue your pursuit before someone gets hurt. The response was immediate and filled with what could only be described as outrage. The alien admiral's voice rose to what sounded like a roar. You dare threaten Imperial vessels? Your arrogance will be your downfall, primitive creature. Marcus looked up from his engineering station with concern. Captain, they're charging weapons. Energy readings are spiking across their entire fleet. Sarah made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Tom, activate defensive protocols. Elena, prepare for emergency acceleration. If they want to threaten peaceful explorers, let's show them what human ingenuity can accomplish. Captain, Dr. Patel said urgently, I'm detecting massive energy buildup in their weapon systems. I think they're about to fire. All hands, brace for evasive maneuvers, Sarah announced over the ship's intercom. Tom, give me everything we've got. The Endeavor suddenly accelerated beyond its previous maximum velocity. The Alcubierre drive, pushed to its absolute limits, bent space-time in ways that had never been tested. The small human ship shot forward, like a bullet, leaving the massive Imperial fleet struggling to match its pace. But the aliens had fired their weapons just as the Endeavor accelerated. Streams of superheated plasma filled the space where the human ship had been moments before. The near miss was so close that the Endeavor's hull sensors detected residual radiation. Damage report, Sarah called out. No damage, Captain, but that was too close, Marcus replied. If we'd been a few seconds slower. Captain, Elena interrupted, her voice filled with excitement and terror. I'm reading something impossible. Our acceleration just exceeded the theoretical maximum for the Alcubierre drive. We're traveling at 52 light-years per hour and still accelerating. Sarah stared at the readings in disbelief. According to everything humanity knew about physics, what they were doing should be impossible. Yet the evidence was right there on their instruments. Behind them, the Imperial fleet was falling further and further behind, their massive ships unable to match the incredible velocity of the small Earth vessel. Admiral Zethkar's angry communications became increasingly distant as the gap widened, but Sarah knew this was only the beginning. They had just made first contact with a hostile galactic empire, and humanity was completely unprepared for what was coming. Admiral Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Wrath, watching the holographic display with growing unease. The massive vessel, stretching nearly 2 kilometers in length, represented the pinnacle of Kethran Imperial engineering. Its crystalline hull gleamed with embedded energy conduits, and its 12 plasma cannon arrays could reduce entire planets to molten rock. Yet today, something had shaken the Admiral's confidence in the Empire's absolute supremacy. Report, Zethkar commanded, his forearms crossing behind his back in the traditional pose of Imperial authority. His scaled skin shifted from deep blue to anxious purple as stress hormones flooded his system. Lieutenant Vexran, a younger Kethran with barely 3 cycles of service, nervously manipulated the sensor controls. Sir, we detected an unidentified vessel approximately 6 hours ago at the edge of the Proxima Nebula. Initial scans suggested it was a derelict craft, possibly from one of the minor species we conquered last rotation. The Admiral's primary eyes narrowed, while his secondary pair focused on the tactical display. And now?
Sir, the vessel has moved. Vexran's voice cracked slightly.
It covered 47 light-years in the past 2 hours. Our fastest scouts require 8 hours to travel that distance using quantum tunnel drives. A cold silence fell across the bridge. The Kethran Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 3,000 rotations, crushing every species that dared oppose them. Their technology was unmatched, their fleets unstoppable, The idea that some unknown vessel could outpace their finest ships was impossible. "Check the sensors again," Zethkar ordered. "There must be an error in the calculations." Vexran's claws clicked rapidly across the console. "Sir, I've run the diagnostics 17 times. The readings are accurate. The vessel is currently maintaining a steady course toward the core worlds at unprecedented velocity." Admiral Zethkar felt his stomach twist into knots. The core worlds house the Empire's most important colonies, including the military academies and the Emperor's secondary palace. If this unknown ship posed any threat, what do we know about its design? The Admiral asked. "That's the disturbing part, sir." Vexran brought up a grainy image on the main screen. "The ship doesn't match any known configuration in our databases. It appears to be roughly cylindrical, with what look like primitive chemical exhaust ports and basic metal plating. But sir, our most advanced scanners can barely penetrate its hull. There's some kind of interference." The Admiral studied the image. The vessel looked crude, almost ancient. Its hull seemed to be made of simple steel alloys painted in white and blue patterns. Strange symbols were visible along its side, but the computer couldn't translate them. "How large is it?" "Approximately 100 meters in length, sir." "Roughly the size of a patrol craft." Zethkar's confusion deepened. A ship that small shouldn't be capable of faster-than-light travel, let alone the incredible speeds they were witnessing. The Kethrin Empire's smallest FTL vessels required massive quantum engines that alone measured 50 meters in diameter. "Sir," another officer called out from the communication station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from High Command." The holographic image of Supreme Commander Thelvis materialized above the bridge. The ancient Kethrin's ceremonial armor gleamed with rank insignia, and his expression was grave. "Admiral Zethkar, you are to intercept and investigate the unknown vessel immediately. Use whatever force necessary to bring it to a complete stop. The Emperor is concerned about this development." "Understood, Supreme Commander. Should I ready the fleet's primary weapons?" "Negative. We need that ship intact for study. Use ion cannons to disable its engines, then board it. The Emperor wants to know who built this technology and how they achieved such impossible speeds." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Admiral Zethkar began issuing orders to his fleet. Within minutes, 12 Imperial warships changed course to intercept the mysterious vessel. As they approached the intercept coordinates, the sensor readings became even more puzzling. The unknown ship was indeed maintaining its incredible velocity, but it wasn't using any recognizable form of propulsion. There were no quantum tunnel signatures, no dark matter displacement, no tachyon emissions. It seemed to be moving through space using methods completely unknown to Imperial science. "Sir, we'll reach firing range in 20 minutes, reported the weapons officer. "Prepare ion cannon batteries. Target their engine sections." But as they drew closer, Lieutenant Vexran made another disturbing discovery. "Admiral, I'm detecting organic life signs aboard the vessel. Multiple beings, but their biological signatures are unlike anything in our databases." "A new species?" Zethkar mused. "One we haven't encountered before?" "It appears so, sir. But that's not possible. Our exploration fleets have mapped every inhabited system within 500 light-years of Imperial space. There are no unknown civilizations capable of space travel." The Admiral felt a chill run down his spine. The Kethrin Empire prided itself on absolute knowledge of the galaxy. Their maps were perfect, their intelligence networks complete. The existence of an unknown spacefaring species suggested gaps in their understanding that could have serious implications for Imperial security. "Sir, incoming transmission from the unknown vessel," the communications officer announced. "Put it through." A new voice filled the bridge, speaking in an alien language that the universal translator struggled to process. After several seconds, the computer produced a rough translation. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Endeavor. We are on a peaceful scientific mission and mean no harm. Please respond." The bridge crew exchanged bewildered glances. Earth? No planet by that name existed in any Imperial database. And the name Sarah Chen followed no known alien naming conventions. "Respond with standard Imperial protocols," Zethkar ordered. "Demand immediate surrender and preparation for boarding." The communications officer transmitted the message, but the response from the Earthship was unexpected. Instead of fear or submission, the alien captain's voice carried a note of curiosity and even amusement. "I'm sorry, but we don't recognize your authority in this region of space. We're simply passing through on our way to the Andromeda Galaxy for a research expedition. We'll be happy to share our star charts if you're interested in peaceful contact. Admiral Zethkar's scales flushed crimson with rage. No species had ever refused an Imperial demand for surrender. The audacity of these aliens was unprecedented. "Ready all weapons," he commanded. "These creatures clearly don't understand the reality of their situation. We'll teach them to respect Imperial authority." But even as he gave the order, a nagging doubt crept into his mind. A ship that could travel at impossible speeds, crewed by an unknown species from a planet that didn't exist in Imperial records, heading for another galaxy entirely. Perhaps there was more to this situation than a simple first contact scenario.